Hello everyone and welcome back to another session of Elden Ring PvP and another weapon showcase. Today we are taking a look at the Morning Star. This is a weapon that I was, to be perfectly honest, quite concerned about. It is a weapon that has often been overlooked in previous Souls games, and this is the best rendition of this weapon that we've had yet. I was looking forward to using this one because it has the same moveset as the Scepter of the All-Knowing, and that means that it by far has the best hammer class moveset in the entire game. That said, I was worried about it because it is much shorter than the Scepter, and I was thinking that it would be a bit difficult or at least tedious to use because of that. However, it is really, really good and probably my favorite hammer class weapon in this game. I would say it's my second favorite hammer class weapon throughout all of the Souls games, so it's extremely good to say the very least. Let's go ahead and get started with the basics. This weapon is found in a chest in the Weeping Peninsula. When you head into the Weeping Peninsula just south of Limgrave and you're following the main path, there is a broken down carriage with a chest, and inside that chest you'll find the best hammer in the game. This weapon requires 12 strength and 8 dexterity to wield, and it weighs 5 units. It has kick for its skill by default, and you will want to change that as soon as you can, because why would you ever want that? At plus 25, it has a physical base damage of 265 on the heavy upgrade path, a B scaling in strength, and an E scaling in dexterity, and it has a 50 bleed base damage per hit. 50 base bleed damage per hit. Words, it's fine. Now, on a PvE side of things, it's a valuable weapon because you get it early on. It deals strike damage, so it takes care of the Crystallian enemies, and it's great for enemies that are weak to the strike damage type, so most enemies in caves for that matter. And of course, it does deal bleed damage, so that's always a benefit to have. Now, on the PvP side of things, the moveset. Oh my goodness, the moveset. It is something special. The moveset has so many great attacks, and they're all great because they're all thrusting. Now, with the moveset, your running R2 attack is a thrust. Your backstep R1 is a thrust. Your rolling and your crouching attacks are also thrusts. Now, the big thing with this weapon is that if you go according to what the game says, it does strike damage on everything, which is a lie. This weapon, on those attacks that I've mentioned, does deal piercing damage, which means it will work with the Spear Talisman, and if you stack up your buffs correctly, you can deal insane damage. With Royal Knight's Resolve on, and with the meat, you, as you saw, can hit well over 1400 without too much effort, to be honest. A lot of people don't really take this weapon very seriously. They underestimate it to an extreme degree, and because of that, a lot of them are willing to trade hits with it, and that is to your benefit. Now, aside from that, the moveset, aside from those attacks, is decent. It does have other options for its attacks that do offer the ability to have a couple of mix-ups in there, but to be perfectly honest, more often than not, you're going to want to just go for the running R2s, go for the backstep attacks, and go for the crouch/rolling attacks, because that's where this weapon really shines. It lets you use the Spear Talisman, and it lets you deal a ton of damage. Now, aside from Royal Knight's Resolve, because yes, Royal Knight's Resolve is a big cause for a lot of damage here, aside from that skill, another good skill to put on this is Barbaric Roar. And the reason for Barbaric Roar is because it actually has a 3-hit true combo. You don't need to charge the skill or charge your R2 after using the skill. You can just smack R2 and go for a trade. And on top of the fact that it has a true combo, the R2 attack when you have Barbaric Roar active deals a good amount of damage, and more importantly, you can trade hits like crazy with it because you have so much hyper armor. You can actually just straight up hyper armor through Gravitas, and you'll see that in this fight in a minute here. It's kind of insane that you have that much hyper armor when Barbaric Roar is active and you're in the middle of an R2, but I won't be complaining about that. So, overall, it's an extremely good weapon. Now, with this weapon, of course, I do have it on the heavy upgrade path. On the quality upgrade path, it does have a bit lower of a physical base damage, but you do get a B scaling in strength and dexterity. So it is extremely worthwhile to use on a quality build if you decide you want to invest into making one. But realistically, we all know how quality builds are in this game, and it's questionable of how worthwhile it is. One thing that I thought might be interesting with this weapon is trying it on a bleed build, and I would also recommend against that because if you do bleed your opponent with the Barbaric Roar 3-hit true combo, and they get bled on the first or second attack, then they can actually roll out of the combo. It takes away its ability to be a true combo because of the additional stagger they have due to being bled. I don't really think it ends up being worthwhile because of that, so it is what it is. Now, as far as the cons of the weapon, the main reason why I was concerned about this thing is because it is short. Compared to the Scepter of the All-Knowing, it's actually really short. But I feel like the forward momentum of a lot of its attacks more than make up for that, and I feel like with how well this weapon can handle being buffed in a number of ways between Barbaric Roar and Royal Knight's Resolve, I feel like the options there really more than make up for the con of it not having much range, especially given how much Hyper Armor Barbaric Roar has. You can just tank hits and trade and you'll come out on top because 3 hits generally are more powerful than a single hit. It just kind of is what it is. It's the way the math works, so keep that in mind, and, you know, don't take this weapon lightly if you're fighting against it, because it can and will mess you up if you try to trade hits. Just don't do it. Use what my opponents in this video did as a lesson of what not to do, and just don't trade hits with it. Don't run in on it. Don't try to trade. And don't do what I did right here, jumping straight into Great Serpent Hunt. That's a really dumb idea. I'm just lucky the timing worked out. Anyway, back on topic. The weapon itself is extremely fun to use. I would highly recommend it. It's great on a number of builds, but primarily with strength builds and quality builds. It does have pretty decent scaling with magic and cold as well, so I do use this weapon on my Muscle Mage build, and it is pretty reliable, but you do lose out on a good amount of the counter damage from having the Spear Talisman because it's not physical, so keep that in mind as well. But anyway, this is probably my favorite weapon in the game at this point in time, so I can't recommend it enough to you guys. Try it out if you want something a little different. And if you have tried it out, let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you enjoyed it as much as I have. That all said, thank you again for stopping by. If you guys liked the video or found it helpful, then please do leave a like and subscribe if you're not subscribed. I've noticed only around 1/4 of you regular viewers are subscribed, so I'd appreciate it if you know, did the thing. And that's all I've got. So again, thank you all, and I'll see you next time.